everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the last game of Sunway Formentera, the tournament that I just played in, and it was 10 rounds, so this was the final round. And I was in competition for one of the top 3 women prizes. This game was a really important one because this game will determine whether I would win a prize or not. And I was also facing someone that was also competing for the prizes, so that made it even more important. I faced Women Grandmaster Gulrukhbegim Tokhirjonova. She is a very strong player. I played against her, I believe, something like 11 years ago. She completely destroyed me, but I was ready to take revenge. Well, I technically did because I played her in the World Rapid Blitz and I managed to win against her, but now I had to do it again in Classical, so that is very different, of course. And yeah, a lot at stake for this game, so let's get right into it. This game was 9 a.m. in the morning, and I was not really happy about that. It was pretty cold that morning, even though we were in Spain, and yeah, we did not have much time to prepare, but I just went to the game to see what happens, and my opponent went for the move knight f3. I thought, okay, knight f6. One went for g3, and I thought, okay, in this position, I would like to expand on the queen side and get my bishop to b7 quickly. So bishop g2, bishop b7, short castle, and e6. I remember playing this like a while ago. This doesn't really happen often. Usually people take control in the center pretty quickly, but this gives me the opportunity to set the pieces up in such a way that are pretty good for me. My opponent went for d3, d6, e4. So now e4 is on the board, but it's obviously a very different position than what is usually played after move e4 on the first move. So I went for knight bd7, knight bd2, bishop e7. I'm simply developing pretty simple chess. No need to overthink this. Maybe I want to play c5 at some point, queen b6. Maybe I want to shut it down with e5. I don't want to play d5 just yet because after e5, my opponent will be having an easier time attacking on the king side. So I need to be a little bit careful and don't move pawns recklessly. My opponent goes for h3. I thought, okay, let's just castle. My king is not going anywhere else. And if my opponent starts attacking with g4, f4, f5, I should be able to counter that somehow. But I thought these kind of thoughts, these kind of worries will come later. I don't have to worry about it now. And this is also why I was spending very little time in the first couple of moves. So we're on move 8. I basically did not prepare for this game, at least specifically not this opening for sure. I just went to the game thinking we'll see what happens after knight f3. Also, I have to note she plays several openings on move 1, several different moves. So that's why I also thought if she plays knight f3, let's say, I'll see what happens. I'll just play natural moves. So to queen e2, I played c5 indeed. My opponent went for knight h2. And I thought, okay, the plan is simple. She wants to move pawns on the king side. So I just continue with queen b6. If she moves f4, maybe I want to play c4, opening up towards the king and give it check. I'm not sure. I thought we'll see what happens, but I was not scared of any sort of attack just yet. King h1 was played for this reason, and here I went for the move g6. And the idea behind this move is simple. I want to put my knight on h5 if my opponent goes for, let's say, f4. So f4, knight h5, attacking the pawn on g3, and maybe include f5, maybe not, but seeing the amount of trouble that my opponent has to go through here to defend the pawn and, you know, start attacking. Let's say after queen f2, what I wanted to play here is, yeah, simply f5, simply shutting it down. Because now that queen is not on the e file anymore, I'm not afraid of e takes f5, right? So that's why after queen f2, I'm able to play f5, and it should be fine. Changing the, you know, pawn structure a little bit, and yeah, it really depends where the pieces are, because usually you can't afford to play f5 like this. But I was seeing some opportunities here, and I thought this is the one way to at least stop the attack for the time being. My opponent for b3 makes sense, because now that this diagonal is completely open for that bishop, why not put the bishop there? Which is why I shut it down right away. My opponent went for c4, and I thought, okay, b4. I'm shutting down the queen side, but not really, you see? I give myself the opportunity that after knight df3, I play a5. And after bishop g5, I play rook e8 just to make sure that the bishop is defended on e7. And after h4, knight f8, I'm maneuvering the knight. But regarding this pawn on a5, I keep the option available for me to play a4 whenever I want to. I can decide when the a file opens, and I see chances here for myself. So I really like that. What I was seeing on the board, I thought my opponent's a little bit stuck with the pieces on the king side. Pieces are not really doing much, and at the same time I have quite a lot of space on the queen side, and maybe I can use this to my advantage. So knight f8, I want to move the knight to e6 at some point. Queen e2 was played. Here I played bishop c8, so I'm trying to prevent my opponent from making moves such as bishop h3 and g4 after that. And I basically want to be a little bit more careful and not allow things to be played so easily. Here my opponent goes for knight g1. She really tries to start some attack, or perhaps prepares bishop h3, knight h3. All of these moves come to mind. I play knight e6. My opponent retreats with the bishop, and I thought, okay, now is the time to strike with a4 because, yeah, I have to do something about this and start preparing the attack myself. My opponent went for knight e2, knight g7. I played a move knight g7 for the simple reason that I want to open up my bishop and yeah, maybe move it to d7. Well, I guess I want to put it on e6 at some point if needed, or maybe I want to play knight g4. There's many moves that come to mind. It basically depends on, you know, you're kind of maneuvering around to see what works best, and you're basically being very patient. Patience is so important in these situations. And since my opponent cannot really do much, I thought I'm fine. And I also am trying to prepare against f4, which she did play still. But here I went for rook a7. It's probably easier to simply take, rook takes, knight g4, and go for something like this. The computer is really happy about this simply because I'm much more active. The position is a little bit loose of white. You can't just play queen a2 and start attacking on the a file because white has some issues going on here. Pawn g3 is weak, pawn d3 is weak, knight is vulnerable. So not easy to just allow this to happen, but I can see how this is pretty good for black, all right? So yeah, a lot of threats in the position. So I went for the move rook a7. I thought I need to be very patient. Bishop f3 was played, bishop h3. I thought this is the opportunity to control this diagonal and attack the rook. But I knew that I have to be a little cautious because my bishop can get trapped any moment. Rook fb1 was played, rook ea8, queen b2, and this, everybody, was the moment of truth. Will I be able to capitalize on my advantage, maintain the advantage, or is this a moment that I start seeing ghosts and start making moves that are completely ridiculous and out of line? Well, as you can already guess from the tone of my voice, I played a ridiculous move. I went knight fh5. Basically, in this moment, I have 30 minutes on the clock. We're in 24. I have plenty of time. And I thought I'm seeing opportunities to make the game super exciting. And I thought I'm seeing the light. I thought I was seeing the light and that everything is falling into place because now that the queen and rook are lined up on this diagonal, if I put my bishop on f6, it's game over. It's done. So there were two moves that came into mind here. h5, because I'm very conscious and aware that my bishop can get trapped. So if I play h5, my bishop will be fine for good. But that also meant that I cannot move my knight to h5. And I was really seeing big opportunities there with my knight on h5. So then after a long hesitation, I made the wrong move. And seeing this in hindsight analysis broke my heart because I saw h5. That was the consideration I had. I heavily considered it, but I got impatient. I was not entirely sure what to do after this. I knew that I was doing good here, but it's really difficult to actually decide to go for this line, allow the pawn to be captured like this. But turns out that after knight g4, I am preparing this move bishop f6 in a more healthy way than what I tried to do in the game. So yeah, big misplay by me. I kind of underestimated the move h5 and overestimated the move knight fh5, and this was the start of a disaster. happening here. My opponent took, I take back, and every single move that my opponent makes here, my opponent plays g4, I'm starting to realize, wait, did I just completely blew this? Like, did I just completely mess up the calculations in my head? Because the more I was making my moves I was thinking about, the more I started to realize, Anna, you just did a terrible move. You just did something incredibly terrible. Because I saw all of the moves. Knight f4, bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes f4. I saw all of the moves. But not in the right order, or I thought the tactics were working out for me, but they were not at all. If I play bishop f6 here, my opponent plays e5. I don't have anything. My rook is hanging on a8. I'm in trouble. So then I thought, okay, queen f6, knight takes h3, and I'm down a piece. And then I thought, okay, if queen takes b2, rook takes b2, bishop f6, I thought e5, and this is also quite a disaster. Turns out that I could have taken on b3 here and tried to go for the initiative here, even though I'm down a full piece. I'm down literally a full piece. It is only +1. So I guess because the dark squares are quite weak around here, maybe I can plant this knight on d4 and it could get interesting. But I was so devastated and I thought there's no way that that's good for me. I took on b3, allowed e5, and I was like, Anna, what are you doing? And I think just all the games that I played in that week and before that, it was all just like, it all just came out as in, I'm exhausted. I can't see anything anymore. I'm just fed up with the tournament now and I want to go home. Because since the rest day, every single day, I was thinking, can I please go home? I didn't want to play anymore. Of course, I kept trying, but I had this strong desire that I just wanted to go home because I was so exhausted and just mentally exhausted from playing chess. In chess tournaments, so many of them and everything. And I was also not home for like a month or so. Well, 3 weeks at least, so that's why. Anyway, queen takes h4 was played. I still kept playing because after knight f4, h5, you know, like maybe Harry can make the dream happen. I don't know. A takes b3, rook takes, rook takes. Unfortunately, I did not have enough pieces for the attack. Queen h5, queen e2. And after this, I resigned, and it was a heartbreaking game because especially after the game, I looked at analysis and I could not believe that I completely blew a -2 position. I mean, yeah, usually that's the position you're striving for and then you try to hold on to it and make the best out of it, but I just completely destroyed my own position and just gave my opponent the red carpet to, I believe she got the second women's prize, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the first one. So I basically lost the women's prize, either first or second, and that's pretty devastating. That's pretty devastating to just throw a game like this so easily, losing out on a few €100. So yeah, one game can make the difference. It's crazy. And also, of course, rating-wise, it would have made such a big difference because I still have to catch up for my losses from the tournament before this one. But okay, anyway, it was a really good lesson for me. It is a really good lesson for me that I don't have to go for such crazy things all the time because I have had crazy games in this tournament and most of the times it was working out for me, but this time it did not work out for me at all. And I had to be much more careful and respect the position of my pieces much more. So yeah, all in all, a really fun game. Devastating loss, but really instructive. And also my opponent played super well. So given the circumstances as well, that she was in a worse position, she found all the right moves after that. And yeah, she won the game deservedly. So tough loss to finish the tournament with, but we move on and we learn from this. And I'm already super excited for the next tournament, because I am flying to my next tournament, not that soon, but next month I'm going to my next tournament already. So a lot more OTB tournaments coming up, a lot more excitement, but this tournament is finished. Sunway Formentera was an amazing experience. The organizers were super helpful, super amazing, and they really made the experience much more enjoyable than I expected. So yeah, I really recommend this tournament to you guys. If you want to play in Sunway Formentera, I really recommend it. It was so awesome. And I have really good memories from this tournament, not just because of the chess, of course. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all love and support during the tournament and during the recaps as well. I'm enjoying so much recording these recaps for you guys. So let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the video, what you thought of the tournament altogether. Maybe you were able to catch some of the streams live. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.